Hi everyone, it's Kate Kalthoff and we are doing a Fab Friday Facebook Live, and today I'm going to take the Rooted in Nature stamp set and create a beautiful card with it. So let me get everything set up here so that I know I'm on when I'm supposed to be on. Let me refresh my screen. Sorry about all this. It seems like every time I do a Facebook Live I have to double check. There's been a lot of times where if I hadn't double checked, I talked for 20 minutes without the camera being on. So I've learned to double check and make sure that I'm on when I say that I'm going to be on. So yes, it does appear that I am live. So anyway, welcome. Thank you for joining me. We are going to make a really, really beautiful card, and I just want to surprise you with it because it's so pretty. I do a top 10 with my downline, and I like to give them a really special card for anybody that's in my top 10 in sales. And so this will be my top 10 card in August. So I'm very excited to share that with you. But first, before I get too deep into sharing the card, I wanted to share a couple of things that Stampin' Up! Has going on right now it's really kind of a big deal. And I would just be remiss not to mention it. And so the first thing is, and I haven't even advertised that on my blog because it's so new, but I will start advertising it today, and that is Paper Pumpkin for August. If you've never subscribed before, you get a 50% discount on your very first subscription, providing that it starts in August. And I know I had a couple of customers email me and were a little sad that they missed the promotion for this month. And so, let's get started for next month and save 50% on that. So your very first subscription when you sign up would be 50% off in August. So I'm hopeful that there will be a few of you who haven't yet tried Paper Pumpkin who will try it. And just to let you know, with Paper Pumpkin altogether, it comes to around $20 a month. Of course, you would get that for half price in August, but it includes your shipping and handling. And the other thing that's really nice about it is it's very portable. So if you have a cabin or if you have a camper that you go to in the summertime, I know a lot of you watching are from Minnesota, and we are not home very often on weekends, but it's hard to bring the whole craft room with you, and there's a lot of downtime, relaxing time, and what's more relaxing than card making? So I do like to take my Paper Pumpkin kits with me when I travel or go to the cabin or the camper, and it's so much fun because everything pretty much is contained in that box, and all you need is adhesive. So it's called Blooming Summer Savings with Paper Pumpkin. And again, I'll be advertising that on my blog today for you to click a link and you can just subscribe right there. And then the other thing, of course, that's going on right now with Stampin' Up! Is the buy 3, get 1 free, which is a pretty big deal on our Designer Series paper. And so we have some select items with that, associated with that. Again, if you go visit any of my blog posts, I have that information, or I also put it in all of my newsletters. So that's a good thing to check out. Those are really fun. And now the last thing I want to cover is our amazing, amazing promotion for new demonstrators that's going on right now in July. And I don't think a lot of you realize quite the significance of this promotion because I maybe have never taken the time to tell you. So I'm going to tell you that right now. You get, when you sign up with Stampin' Up! To get the starter kit, and you don't have to stay in Stampin' Up! It's not, they are offering this promotion as a way for you to get a taste of what it's like to get your products at cost. And there are many, many downline members in my group who really spend a significant amount of their disposable income on craft supplies. And some of them have found that they've actually saved money by joining Stampin' Up! Because they take their crafting budget, put it towards Stampin' Up! Product purchases where they can actually get a true discount on every single thing that they order. And then they stop running to all of these department stores here, there, and everywhere. They just put their craft budget into Stampin' Up! And of course, everything matches: the ink, the colors, fabulous stamp sets, fabulous framelits, Thinlits, everything coordinates, and it's a beautiful, well, your customers or your demonstrators, you know how awesome it is to stick with the Stampin' Up! Company. And so right now, you can join Stampin' Up! And get an entire set of ink pads absolutely free. And they even created a new family of ink pads that you can get, which is the 5 in colors from last year and the 5 in colors from this year. That is a very significant gift because it's a $75 value and it is free. So, and it's all the new stamp pads and the new formulations. So it's really, really good. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you. And there's no obligation. You're just going to be warmly welcomed. You're going to be encouraged. And of course, we do lots of sharing in my group of creative crafters stamping to share. So you're never going to lack for ideas. But if you are interested, you know, you can always check that out on my blog. There's a link there for signing up, or in my most current newsletter, or just give me a call or text me or email me, because I'd be happy to share a little more with you if you want a few more details. So I'm going to flip this camera down and show you everything that's going on here. So here is the card. Isn't that beautiful? And if you'll notice, hopefully this is picking up, there's a lovely texture all over it. So this is my textured foil background that I'm going to be sharing with you. So let's get started doing this. I do want to mention my host code through July 17th, and it's right here. When you use the host code, you do get a paper perk and some other things. For example, if your order is over $75, you get my product gift of the month, which is our faceted dots. All right, so let me show you the stamp set. Rooted in Nature, everybody loves it. And I am only using the stamp set today, but I would say that if you're going to purchase the stamp set, I would go ahead and get the coordinating framelits that go with it, because you can save 10%. But again, as I mentioned, my card today just uses the stamp set. And so let me show you the card again. It looks like this. And now I want to show you where I was inspired. I got a swap a couple months ago from one of my downline members, and this is the card she created for our swap. And you can see she has this lovely textured background on her foil, and you can also see that it's stamped and it's beautiful. It makes a lovely sympathy card or thinking of you card, and it's very much a manly card. And the name of the demonstrator that shared this with me is Joyce Paulson. And so she's been in my group for a really, really long time. I think she joined way back when we had that Big Shot special. So it might have been like 2010 or no, probably more like 2012. I can't remember, but we had a Big Shot special that month. And so she joined during that. And I don't think she ever intended to stay with Stampin' Up. But you know how that goes. She was one of those that went to a lot of craft stores. She put all of her budget into Stampin' Up, and she's never had a problem meeting her minimum in all of those years. All right, so here again is the card. So let's get started creating this card. The first thing that we need to do is our stamping. So we're going to stamp because I want to give this a chance to kind of dry on the foil before I start putting my Versamark over the top. So the copper foil that I'm using, and you could use any color of foil, but I'm using copper for this card. It's 3.5 by 4 3/4. And we are going to put it on our, you know what, my favorite tool, which is the Stamparatus from Stampin' Up. And so I went ahead, did this in advance. I just lined up the tree, the leaf, and the sentiment, just like so. And then I can go ahead and put my foil in here. Now, everybody's Stamparatus is going to come a little bit different, just like everybody's Big Shot machine is a little bit different. So what I do to make mine work perfectly is I've saved the Stamparatus directions, put those on the bottom, and then I have 2 sheets of heavy cardstock, and then I put my foil up here in the corner, take off this little thing here, and I put down my magnet, and then we're going to ink this up with our ink, which is Stays on Black. Stays on Black is perfect for working with foil because it's a permanent ink. So you can use it on foil, you can use it on vellum, and it will work very well. All right, so I've inked that up. And now the magic, because this is where you can make multiples really easily. So I'm just going to press this down. And another reason to have scrap paper under here is because, as you see, this tree is kind of bleeding off to the right. It's the look I wanted, but of course, we wouldn't want that on our actual Stamparatus. So that's a good reason to use scrap paper under there. We lift it up and it looks perfect. I don't even need to redo it. Would I had needed to redo it, I could have just re-inked and stamped again. But there it is. All right, so let's get this out of the way because we are done with the Stamparatus. The inside of the card has a different, oh, I don't even know if I showed you the inside of the card. It looks like this. Isn't that beautiful? So the inside of the card has a panel that's about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the crumb cake panel that's on the outside of the card. So the reason I did that is because I don't accidentally want the outside panel popping out and showing because we have a little bit of a cutaway here. All right, so the inside panel is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So I just wanted to make sure that you realize those measurements were going to be different. So anyway, you're going to ink that up with crumb cake. Oh dear, that's way too inky because if we stamp that right now onto our card, it's going to come out way too dark. So we want to stamp off. So I just stamped off on my scrap, and then we're just going to set it right here. Give that a nice press, and it's perfect. So the first stamp off is pretty dark. The second stamp off is much lighter, and as that dries, it will lighten up even more. Then we're going to take our shaded spruce, which is actually the color of the cardstock we're using on this card. And we're going to take the shaded spruce ink pad, open it up, and we're going to stamp Thinking of You. So we'll put this right here, press it down, lift it up. Oh my goodness, it's so gorgeous. I just love stamping. Can you guys all detect that in me? It's just fun every single time. I mean, I've been doing this since 2000, and every single time that I stamp, I have fun doing it. All right, so now we need to get some ribbon out. So one of the ribbons from Stampin' Up is this combo ribbon pack. It's our metallic combo pack, and we have a pink ribbon here and a green ribbon. Now this green ribbon is going to match the shaded spruce. So let me, oh dear, do I have my scissors here? You know what, give me a second, I gotta grab my scissors. So we're gonna cut off this little edge here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make another cut that's just a little bit wider than our card. We are going to make sure that our inside panel is as absolutely gorgeous as our outside panel. So let me tape this around. All right, so here we go. And then we're going to take another little bit and we're going to do a tie on. So let me just tie this on real quick. Then we'll have our inside panel done. Sometimes I wonder if I should do all these little extra steps, but I think the people who get the cards really appreciate it just because, yes, it is a little extra effort to do the inside panels of your card, but it seems like people notice it and they mention it when they receive cards from me. So there's our beautiful inside panel. Now let me get the main base of the card so we can put our inside panel into the card. So this is the main base of our card, and this is again shaded spruce, and it's 5.5 by 6 3/4, and then I've gone ahead and just scored it at 4 1/4. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to fold along the score line, give that a press. Actually, I'm going to fold one more time, or press it one more time. And now we're going to take this inside panel and we're going to set this in. Kind of get that out of the way, okay? So let me grab some multi-purpose liquid glue here. We'll just put a little bit at the top. And then what I want to do is very carefully make sure that I'm getting it as centered as possible. So let me, I'm standing above it, making sure that it's centered well. Okay, that looks good. It's really important to make sure that this panel is centered because when we close it and we add our outside panel, it's going to be a little bit wider. So we can go ahead now and we'll just put our outside panel on because there's no reason to wait. There's nothing really that we need to do that's special with the outside panel. So the outside panel is a piece of crumb cake as well. This one is cut at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay. So let me pull this off. And we're just going to add some glue again. I love glue because I know that I can wiggle it into place. That's why I use it so often. So I'm going to set it here, and what I'm trying to do now is make sure these 3 borders are even. Well, actually, I want to make sure all 4 borders are even, so it shows the shaded spruce equally all the way around the card. There we go. So we have our card base kind of set up and ready to go. Now it's time to get back to that copper panel that we have. Let me grab it. So it's all nice and dry. I mean, it does dry pretty fast, but here we go. So now we're ready to do our texturing on this panel. So I'm going to take some Versamark stamp pad, and what I want to do is make sure that it's very well inked. So you can just take your re-inker, and you know, I recommend getting a re-inker every single time you get a stamp pad. I mean, it is a really important thing. There's nothing more frustrating than to need to re-ink your pad and you don't have any re-inker. So most of my customers just order the re-inker right at the same time that they order their ink pad and just be done with it. And then if that color is ever discontinued, you know that you have the re-inker and you don't have to rush to place that order because you'll already have it. Just going to grab a scrap piece because I don't want this all over my work surface because this is a pretty sticky ink. All right, so what we're going to do to make this textured background is we are just going to kind of go at an angle. I mean, you could go any direction you want, but I like the angled look. So I'm just going to press it down and bring it up, and you can see all of that texture. So I'm just going to go over the entire card, and that's it. Well, I mean, that's that part of the step. And then, how cool is this, right? Then what you do is you take, I'm bringing this into the camera here, you take this, put it here, and you are going to sprinkle some clear embossing powder over it. Just like this. Okay, then let me grab my paper piercing tool because I need to lift it up. And then you can sprinkle the excess back into your container. And the reason I'm being so careful, and I actually sprinkled it into the tray, because a lot of times if I'm just embossing, you know, some words, I'd sprinkle it and leave it in here, but I don't want to accidentally get my fingerprints on here, and that's why I laid it down, in case you were wondering. So there it is, and then what you do is you take your Stampin' Up! Heat gun and you heat it until it's all embossed. I am not going to do that on camera. First of all, it's loud. It reminds me of a vacuum cleaner, and I am not big on vacuuming. So let me show you. I have one panel prepared in advance, so it looks like this. And so, isn't that pretty? Yeah, so let's go ahead and finish this card using my prepared panel here. So we're going to be putting this onto a piece of basic black cardstock. This is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8 because I want a nice little skinny border. And I'm just going to go ahead and use some glue. And then we're going to set it onto this black panel, and I can wiggle it into place just where I need it. So wiggle, wiggle. And then I'm going to turn it over and kind of burnish it. Make sure that glue is holding very securely. There it is. Isn't it gorgeous? Now we're going to add some of this wonderful metallic trim in shaded spruce. So what I'm going to do is I'm working from the roll. I'm just going to tape this down right here. And then I'm going to bring it from this bottom to the top a little bit over on this side. And then from the top on that side over to the bottom on that side. Because what I'm trying to do is make a little X with the X kind of right here in the middle, because that's where my little heart is going to go. Actually, I want it a little more to the right, so I'm going to bring this one down All right, now I'm going to bring it over to the back here, add a little more Scotch tape to secure everything right where I want it. Then I'll take my scissors and trim that up. There we go. So now we have our ribbon on there. So now let me give you a tip with the corrugated elements, because I think you guys are going to like this tip. And it's also going to make these corrugated elements a little bit more valuable to you in the future. So what they look like, you have these little oval ones, you have these cute little tag ones, and then you have the heart ones. And I find that I am forever and ever always using my hearts or tags. I honestly do not use the ovals that much. So I'm always running out of hearts and tags with a whole bunch of ovals left. So I'm going to put my little heart here. But before I do that, I want to share a tip with you that, like I said, is going to raise the value of these guys. So what you want to do is take your little oval piece that maybe, you know, maybe you'll be like me and not use the ovals and want to have a whole bunch of hearts on hand. What you can do is take your oval piece, pick a heart to use as your template, and then you can just take a pencil. So let me do this as best as I can. All right, so I just drew a little heart. You can do the exact same thing with your little tag one. So you can just put it right here on the back, pick a tag that you want to trace, take a pencil, just trace it out, and then cut it out. Cut it out and you will have additional little heart shapes or tag shapes. So if that's one that you tend to use a lot, then you can get a whole bunch of little tags and hearts. Isn't that a good tip, you guys? I just love that because it just raises the value for me for these cute little guys. All right, so let's get back to the video here. So what I'm going to do next is take a dimensional. We'll just put one of our dimensionals right here on the back of this corrugated heart. I'm gonna put it right here. Isn't it cute? I just love that touch. I think it's so pretty. So now we're going to bring our main card back. What we're going to do is take our dimensionals and we're going to put dimensionals all the way around. So here we go. Now we're just going to set this right over the top, and I'm hoovering it over the top so it's nice and even. And the card is done and it's so beautiful. So here's the one I just did. Here's the one I had done in advance. So thank you everyone so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. I truly appreciate you. Bye-bye.